Hi, I'm Simi Pasha and you're watching Good News Today, our special series where we bring you clutter-breaking stories that don't necessarily make headlines but showcase the triumph of the human spirit. Our focus this week is on Jammu and Kashmir that's battling the worst flood the state has witnessed in over 60 years. Among the stories of despair and gloom that are coming to light from the state, there are also extraordinary tales of survival and hope.
A homemade life jacket and slippers on the life jacket. This is Momin's life jacket. He has been coming from his home, traveling miles only to reach to a safer place, and he prepared this life jacket. He's wearing a jacket himself and the water is extremely cold. We'll speak to Momin. Momin, कहाँ से आ रहे हो आप? कितने दिन से फंसे हुए थे?
हम नुंदरेश कॉलोनी में रहते हैं, हम 7 दिन फंसे थे वहाँ।
7 दिन फंसे थे। तो आपकी अम्मी किधर है? सब घर वाले किधर है?
वो ऊपर है, घर में
है।
हाँ।
आपके पिताजी भी वही है?
हाँ।
फिर कब आएंगे वो, कुछ पता है?
अभी नहीं वो आएंगे, वो उधर ही है।
पानी कम होगा तब आएंगे?
हाँ।
तो जब पानी आया तो आपने क्या देखा? सो रहे थे आपकी, जगे हुए थे?
हम जागे हुए थे।
हाँ, फिर क्या हुआ?
पानी आया इतना फोर्स में तो ये स्टोन से वो गिर गई नीचे।
तो आपको डर लगा?
हाँ, बहुत।
अभी पानी ठंडा लग रहा है?
हाँ।
लग रहा है ठंडा?
हाँ।
डर लग रहा है?
डर नहीं लग रहा।
मोमिन के भाई हैं जो खुद भी शिवर कर रहे हैं, वो उनको लेके आए। काफी छोटा है मोमिन, पानी काफी ज्यादा था कि
पानी बहुत ज्यादा है। ये सडनली आया, पता नहीं चला। तो यहाँ हमदानिया कॉलोनी में तो थोड़ा टाइम ही लगा आने को, बट जो पार में हम नुंदरेश कॉलोनी की बात करें तो वहाँ पे पानी एब्रप्टली आया। विदिन 15 मिनट्स वो सारा इलाका ही भर गया। तकरीबन 10 फीट वहाँ पे पानी आया। हमारा जो हाउस था वहाँ पे, वी हैव अ डबल स्टोरी हाउस, तो हमारा जो प्लिंथ था वो ऑलरेडी प्लिंथ लेवल 5 फीट ऊपर था और हाउस तकरीबन सेकंड लेवल को टच कर रहा था, सेकंड स्टोरी को। अल्टीमेटली गॉड ने बचाया।
और भी आप लोग
बहुत सारे फंसे हैं वहाँ पे, किसी को खाने को कुछ नहीं है। एवरीबडी इज सफरिंग, वी आर आल्सो सफरिंग।
मोमिन को क्यों निकाल के आप लेके आए?
वी हैव हियर अनदर हाउस, वी विल शिफ्ट हियर, क्योंकि ये छोटा बच्चा है, डरता था तो हमने वहाँ जाना।
आपके फ्रेंड्स कहाँ पे है? आपकी फैमिली, बच्चे, आपके भाई बहन सब लोग?
भाई बहन रहते हैं हमें उधर। एक भाई है नुंदरेश कॉलोनी में, बहने रहते हैं इधर 200 से उधरी।
तो सरकार से और गवर्नमेंट से और सबसे कुछ कहना चाहते हैं हेल्प के लिए?
हाँ, सब उनको हेल्प मिलनी चाहिए।
सबको निकालना चाहिए
जल्दी। हाँ।
शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए। आप जाइए। दिस इज मोमिन एंड हिज ब्रदर हु आर हेडिंग अहेड. दे होप दैट द वाटर वुड रिसीड and they would be moving to a safer location, but this is the story of many children stranded who have been showing exceptional courage to come out of this menace. We'll go inside and take a stock of the happenings inside.
Now to the story of a young Air Force pilot whose own family was trapped in the deluge when he was busy trying to rescue others. Abhijit had no idea whether his family was dead or alive, whether they managed to escape nature's fury or succumb to it. But he didn't let his fear and anxiety come in the way of his duty. Here's the story of this unsung hero.
All around us are civilians, many of whom belong to the city, to the state, many do not. But with me is a person in uniform who belongs to this place and yet wasn't here when it all happened, but came here and is now being an asset to the Indian Air Force. Wing Commander Bali, thank you for the time. Tell me, how did you realize that you and your family were also suddenly among the many victims out here?
See, initially when the rain started and the water level went up, we did not realize it's going to be such a big devastation. So we were normal about it, but when the communication broke down, then the apprehension started going up.
Which area, sir, of the Srinagar city is your family in, sir?
My family is from Jawaharnagar, one of the most severely affected areas. So once we came to know the water level is rising, but the communication was lost. So I tried to call up home. Then I got a message that houses have started going down and water level has gone past 10 feet. I was really worried, but still there was no communication. I tried a lot, and just by God's grace, I got a few seconds call from my father, who told me that our house is destroyed and most probably he will not survive. So that prompted me to start my very long journey over here. I flew in from Nagpur to this place, and finally from Delhi, when I landed here, I took a helicopter, went to my house. I saw that my house was actually completely destroyed.
Your house in which you grew up and the house you knew as your home doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. It's totally ruined, and there was about 20 feet of water. And thereafter, so since now I wanted to see my parents in any form, alive or dead. So I got myself down on a cable, and I went down, and I couldn't see them. But then the neighbors pointed out to an adjacent building where they were, and there were also other people trapped over there. So with the helicopter, I went over there. I forced my way into the building by swinging on the cable and breaking open a window, getting inside. I gave supplies. I found all of them okay, but a little shaken up. I gave them food, water. I reassured them and told them that help is on the way. So there were a lot of ladies over there. There were a couple of old gentlemen who were in a bad way. So thereafter, I got a boat, got everybody evacuated. Once they were in safety, now my aim was to come over here and tell the authorities what is the extent of the damage over there. So towards that end, I started a 25 kilometer long trek. I was running, I was swimming, almost till I came to the Air Force station. In the last part, thankfully, the army helped me to reach this place, where I told the authorities the extent of this devastation. Thereafter, we started sorties and we were able to pull a lot of people out. And once my own family was safe, then the realization came to me that my near and dear ones, my neighbors, my relatives are still stuck here. So I decided that I'm going to be here for as long as it takes to do as much as I can. And I've stayed.
Tell me one thing, you are wearing the uniform, you are participating in these operations, but in a sense, you are also a refugee because you lost your house. You not lost your family, thankfully, but you lost your house, you lost your sense of, where you grew up. What is that loss meaning to you? Please explain to me in a few words.
See, this loss, we belong to this place. That house, that is something I identify with. So to a small extent, I've lost my identity. I've lost everything. But I right now don't have any regret, because I can't get over the euphoria that I found my parents when I thought them to be dead. And the second thing is that I cannot grow weak at this point in time, because there are a lot of other people who need help and who I can reach out to. So that's why my thoughts are only positive right now. I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to be here for as long as it takes.
My last question to you, sir. There are a lot of instances which are being reported about the forces facing resistance, in some cases stones also. As a local, what would you like to tell the other locals who are angry, who are full of resentment, some of whom are resorting to violence?
I would like to tell them that this is a devastation which has struck us from above. Nobody could help it, nobody can be responsible for it. Bad times have come on everybody has suffered. We have tried to do as much as possible, and we will keep doing also. But what you have to do is be firm and have some belief. We are reaching as many people as possible, and we will continue to reach. So please have faith and have courage, and just stay where you are. We will come to you, we will bring you out. You can see the aircraft are flying all over. They will not stop flying.
Soldiers of the Indian Army, Air Force pilots and crew members have been spearheading relief and rescue operations in flood-hit Jammu and Kashmir. But it's not just our men in uniform who've been working tirelessly round the clock trying to provide relief. Civil society groups are also helping out. Here's the story of a Gurudwara that's opened its doors to flood victims.
Where the civil administration has failed, it is Gurdwara committees and mosque committees that have actually made the difference for those who have been rescued and evacuated. We're at the Gurdwara Shaheed Bunga in Baghat Barzila, which is serving as a major relief camp for hundreds of people who have been brought in. लुट गए, हार गए, नंगे हम आए थे, लोगों ने कपड़ा दिया, किसी ने हेल्प नहीं की, ना तो कोई गवर्नमेंट आई है, हम तो बर्बाद हो गए, हमारा कुछ भी नहीं बचा है। ये तो मैं कहती हूँ मोदी सरकार से कि हमारी हेल्प करें। हम रोड पे बैठे हैं, नंगे बैठे हैं, हमारे लिए कुछ कीजिए प्लीज।
हम यहाँ के लोकल हैं, हमारे घर टूट गए हैं, वहाँ रहने को कुछ नहीं है, पूरा पानी पानी पानी। अभी भी हमारी कम्युनिटी के, मुसलमान कम्युनिटी के भाई बहन फंसे हुए हैं। अगर हमारा गुरुद्वारा ना होता तो शायद हम लोग सब मर गए होते। थोड़ा बहुत राशन पानी गुरुद्वारे में है, वही हम लोग खा रहे हैं। बाकी गवर्नमेंट ना केंद्रीय सरकार ना राज्य सरकार हमें कुछ भी नहीं मिला। हम भूखे प्यासे सिर्फ एक गुरुद्वारे की वजह से बैठे हुए हैं।
हमें अपने मतलब जितना भी रिलीफ आया अपनी सिख कम्युनिटी से वो और उसके पैरेलल मुसलमान भाइयों ने जितनी हमारी हेल्प की हम जिंदगी में नहीं भूल सकते।
There are people like these who have been brought in from various parts of Srinagar. So it all starts here at this makeshift control room that they have set up, where whoever is being brought in by their rescue teams. It is the rescue teams that have been organized by the Gurdwara. They go out into the most affected areas, bring the people back in. आप यहाँ क्या कर रहे हैं सर?
मैम हम यहाँ पे जो बंदे रेस्क्यू होके यहाँ आते हैं सबसे पहले उनकी रजिस्ट्रेशन करते हैं। रजिस्ट्रेशन के बाद हमारा मेडिकल कैंप है, वहाँ पे उनका ट्रीटमेंट होता है। उसके बाद हम यहाँ पे लंगर प्रोवाइड करते हैं, उनको फ्री लंगर है। यहाँ पे रहने का इंतजाम पूरा है, ब्लैंकेट सब कुछ अवेलेबल है।
From here, from the control room, as they just told us, people are being taken into what is usually the Gurdwara library, and that is where the medical camp has been set up, where they're being provided with basic relief measures, basic medical kit to see if anybody has any kind of ailment, some injury because of the rescue process and also being stranded. The way through the day you keep hearing announcements that are being made from the control room, everybody being told where their relatives are, information being given, messages being passed out. There are at least 100 perhaps people not just from Srinagar but from adjoining areas which were submerged, which have been brought here, and they have been made to be inside the Gurdwara to ensure that at least some kind of rescue has been given to them. आपको यहाँ क्या क्या फैसिलिटीज कैसे लोग खुद मिलकर?
हाँ बहुत अच्छा मिल रहा है, सब कुछ मिल रहा है,
हिंदू मुस्लिम सब आए हैं, सबको इक्वली शेयर किया गया है। हम तो बड़े शुक्रगुजार हैं गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी के, शुक्रगुजार हैं उनके जिन्होंने हमें बचाया। और सिख भाई, मुसलमान भाई, हिंदू भाई, पंडित भाई सबको कम्युनिटी मिल के आई और सबको इक्वली शेयर करके उन्होंने खाना खिलाया, दिया, सब कुछ दिया।
As flood waters start receding, the biggest challenge before the administration is to provide relief and shelter to lakhs of people who've been rendered homeless. Providing assistance to the state government in the rehabilitation process are our defence personnel who've been providing all kinds of emergency assistance, from preparing food packets to setting up emergency medical camps. Jugal Purohit and Gaurav Sawant with their story.
Headlines today is on board a special Indian Air Force IL-76 transport aircraft, and this aircraft, as I will now show you, is carrying up to 25 tons of essential and emergency food material. My camera person Parminder will now go inside and show to you just what is the material that is being carried on board, from breads to onions to potatoes, ladies' fingers. Several of these vegetables along with other eatables are being carried from here, from Pathankot. In fact, that is where this flight has taken off from and will be landing at Srinagar. The most important and perhaps the critical part of this consignment, and the reason why we are speaking about it when there are so many of them being flown in from different parts of the country, is that this entire consignment has been put together by actually the army troops from the Mamun military station in Punjab near the city of Pathankot. It is their ration which has actually been pulled in by the army personnel and has been sent to the valley so that those people who are in dire need can be provided with some relief and succor. And ironical as it may sound, the army is saving up and assisting those very people who are protesting against it and often resort to pelting stones.
People are trapped, hundreds and thousands without food, without water. The state administration still unable to provide them food and water. The Indian Air Force has started this initiative of a langar for the people who are still trapped in their homes. Indian Air Force helicopters carry puri, aloo and achar for these people. In every food packet like this that is being prepared by the Air Force langar, it's not just food and relief material. the Indian Armed Forces are also looking after the health of the affected people in Jammu and Kashmir. With most hospitals underwater, the Indian Air Force has specially airlifted a specialized hospital in tents purchased from Alaska at a cost of a whopping 10 crore rupees.
वहाँ कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं थी, ना कोई डॉक्टर नहीं था, तो हमने फिर आर्मी ने मदद किया हमको। फिर हम अभी हाई ग्राउंड से आए, अनंतनाग में जो हाई ग्राउंड है उधर से जहाज़ में आर्मी ने इधर लाया हमको। उधर कोई डॉक्टर नहीं, ना कोई स्टाफ है, बिल्कुल कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं है वहाँ पे।
Emergency cases being brought here to the Rapid Action Medical Team Hospital at the Avantipur Air Base in South Kashmir. There is no civil administration, so to say, that is working here. The civil hospital is non-operational, which is what both the locals and the Air Force here are telling us. So all emergency cases are being brought here, given emergency treatment, and from here, once cases are stabilized, they are being sent to Jammu, Chandigarh or Delhi. The locals say until this water subsides, until the civil administration is able to cope once again, they are completely dependent on the army and the Air Force.
Now it seems like today we have more reason to celebrate 3D technology. For the first time in medical history, surgeons in China have implanted a 3D printed vertebra into a 12-year-old boy suffering from bone cancer. Let's have a look at this great feat in medical history.
12-year-old Xin from China was diagnosed with a rare bone cancer, mostly found in children. Removing the diseased part of his spine was the only way to save his life. But that would mean he would no longer be able to use his legs. So the highly skilled doctors at Beijing's Peking University decided to try something new, making this young boy the first person ever to be implanted with a 3D printed vertebra replacement. Using a combination of scans and specialized engineering software, the team created a perfect replica of the piece of Chin's spine that had to be replaced.
We can use iconographic tests on patients, such as a computed tomogram or CT scans, and convert the CT data into 3D printing data in order to produce an internal fixation with exactly the same structure as the patient's bone structure. When it is implanted into a human being, it perfectly matches the patient's own anatomical structure.
And that perfect match means the surgeons didn't need to use surgical cement or screws to implant the artificial spinal bone. It also means young Ching will have a faster recovery after he heals. For Ching's mother, the whole experience has been nothing short of a nightmare.
When I was told that he would be the first case of this kind, I was a little torn. But in the end, I considered that 3D technology has already been applied in the medical world, and they must be confident.
Ching is on the road to recovery and is in good spirits, knowing that his surgery is a step towards giving others needing spinal replacement a new treatment option.
It seems for blind people, reading may soon become as simple as pointing and listening to a printed text. Researchers in Singapore have come out with a ring-like device, calling it the finger reader, which reads out text with a synthesized voice.
Not being able to read has been one of the greatest regrets of Professor Meng Wong after he lost his eyesight. But all that is about to change. With the help of a new device called the finger reader, he's reading a book in a whole new way.
It felt strange. Certainly it felt strange because it's not accustomed, for someone with a visual impairment to read text in that nature.
And that's exactly why it was developed. Inventor of the finger reader, Suranga Nanayakra from the Singapore University of Technology and Design says that there is a gap in assistive technology for the visually impaired.
There's so many smartphone apps out there that claims to be accessible, but the reality is, if you observe a blind user trying to use a smartphone, they have to go through a tedious set of steps before getting something done.
And this is how the technology works. The ring-like device is strapped onto the user's finger. A camera positioned on the top of the ring scans the text. And as the finger moves across the words, a computer program identifies what the user is pointing to and then converts it into audio that is read aloud by a synthesized voice. Since pointing in a straight line is not natural for the blind, the device has built-in checks for the user.
while it's reading, it will also give you different cues on how to read this properly. So if you are staying in line, if you go too far above or too far below the line. So all of these cues are delivered either with a vibration or with audio. Just a continuous audio tone helps you scan properly.
For Wong, this new technology is certainly good news. He says the capability to read menus or other text could be life-altering.
So much information is around us, and to be able to access that information, I think would be a tremendous game changer for persons with visual impairment.
The team are still carrying out tests and expect the device to be available in about 2 years' time. So till then, happy waiting.
And now some good news for all you badminton enthusiasts out there. An inventor in Hyderabad, Abhilash, has come out with a portable badminton court that could very well offset the lack of sports infrastructure in the country. Pratibha Raman with her report.
No more open courts, bad weather and harsh winds. If you are a badminton enthusiast, you can now carry an indoor court in your vehicle. Thanks to this Hyderabadi inventor, all you have to do is assemble it together to form a dome-shaped canvas that provides you the space as well as the shelter to play.
It did begin as a dream. It was in 2008 and I went to a desert in a Tata Sumo. I stepped out of the Tata Sumo with a suitcase, and that suitcase instantly sprang out into an indoor badminton arena. That's how it all began.
26-year-old Abhilash gave up his lucrative job as a software engineer at Facebook in the US to make his dream a reality. The only difference is it takes about 6 hours to assemble, though he's working on reducing that duration to a few minutes, just like in the dream. It took Abhilash a year to design this portable badminton court after consulting 200 architects around the world. This court is assembled with 250 rods.
According to the World Badminton Federation, now this particular stadium or the badminton court must meet with all those requirements. Now, for example, at the center, the height from the roof to the floor must be about 9 meters, and for amateurs like me, just about 6 meters. This portable court meets with all those standard dimensions, making it easy for all badminton players.
Having been a state-level player himself until he hurt his knee, Abhilash knew what a player will need.
As a student, when I was here about 4.5 years, then he missed the badminton very badly because he's a state badminton player and he played very good level. So he missed all these years actually, and then that must have added again to create this kind of thing. It is exceptionally very good.
The entire structure is covered by a rainproof military canvas, and the endeavour has cost Abhilash around 5 lakh rupees. With the Rent It Out program for schools and colleges, Abhilash hopes his product will go places, literally. With Pratibha Raman in Hyderabad, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
That's all we could pack into this edition of Good News Today. You can send us your feedback, tweet the team at HLT Good News. Have a great weekend.